here with my, well, I guess it's an 11/12 week bump date. Again, I'm really sorry for the lag in my post, but the last couple weeks have been a bit difficult, and we'll talk about that. So if you were watching, you probably saw, I think my last video was probably my 10-week bump date, and that followed the 9 ultrasound that I had late in the 9th week. So that ultrasound I was really hoping should give me the reassurance that we were measuring back on track, and it didn't. And so, you know, I starting off the 10th week, I was like, okay, but everything looks good and healthy and it's okay. We're not as far behind as we were. Well, the further away I got from that scan, the more worried I got, because I wasn't, we had bought an at-home fetal Doppler, I wasn't finding the heartbeat. Not that I was expecting to, I knew that it was early, and I knew that it can be really difficult, not just because it was early, it just can be difficult in general. But, you know, I wasn't getting that reassurance from that extra thing, so I just kind of didn't have a lot to go on. So then week 11, partway through that week, I went off progesterone oil, and I had been feeling pretty good throughout that week to begin with, and then when I went off progesterone oil and estrogen, I found that a lot of my symptoms were maybe more so side effects. So things like, you know, the bloating, and I mean, these may be symptoms and they just might be diminishing because time is going on and we're entering closer to at least the 2nd trimester. So who knows, but it was definitely after I went off the progesterone, you know, I was less bloated, I wasn't having as much fatigue. And then, you know, also my nausea, it does come and go, but I just didn't have the severity that I had been having. So it was really difficult through week 11 and leading up to this ultrasound that we had yesterday, which you can watch up here, to believe that I was really pregnant, because I wasn't feeling pregnant. I certainly didn't look pregnant, and I wasn't getting tons of reassurance. We did end up finding the fetal heartbeat at home, and that did help, but I wasn't certain that I was actually finding the heartbeat. So I, you know, was able to find sort of what people describe as like the placenta, because it has more of a whooshing sound, and then it was really close by, and it was faster than what my heartbeat would be. But you always question it. You're just kind of like, is that really baby's heartbeat? I don't know. And you're kind of going in blind. So I don't know. And maybe this is just like the pessimism of someone who's dealt with infertility. But I just had a hard time believing that I was really finding the heartbeat, or that everything was really okay, and just the anxiety was really high. So I was just really trying to focus on just getting through that time. It was very mentally and emotionally draining for me, and I just kind of, it's not that I want to say that I closed off, but I kind of just focused on getting through it, and I did, so that's good. And it was helpful for me. Like I'm one of those people that I like my alone time when that's going on. Like I don't need a bunch of people to talk through it. I have enough of the self-talk going on in my head. I don't need another person's opinion. It's just, I just need to allow myself to let those thoughts go and then not think about it. So, you know, distracting myself with other things was really helpful. In terms of like, you know, symptoms, or I mean, I guess as I said, I don't really have a lot of symptoms, but like food cravings or aversions, I know I had mentioned a few times that really like strawberries and potatoes have been like the top of my list. I'm not really eating strawberries anymore. I don't know if it's because I ate way too many of them for a while, but potatoes still on and off, not nearly, like I was eating them like all day, every day. And now it's, you know, I'll have some potatoes every couple days-ish, maybe. I did also, you know, because I've been craving carbs, I did also invest, not that it's like a big investment. I went out and bought some more like gluten-free items. So I had bought like these gluten-free English muffins, or they're more like crumpets really, but anyways, and had those with like toasted with almond butter. So that's sort of been one of my new go-tos, I guess. I've also been really enjoying frozen mango. It's really hot here in Texas. I mean, not really hot, but it's warm. So it's been a nice treat. It's not like it's like freezing cold outside and I'm eating frozen mangoes. It makes sense for our climate. But yeah, so I've been eating frozen mango and drinking a lot of smoothies. I'm starting to get my appetite back for things like salads, because that's sort of what, I mean, I eat a ton of salad. I eat where I used to. Haven't in the first trimester, but I'm starting to begin to crave sort of more variety again, which is nice. Even seafood, which I wasn't interested in, I'm starting to kind of be like, oh, I could have some shrimp or a piece of fish. That might be kind of good. So I'm getting back into sort of my regular food habits. And also in terms of that, I think because I'm less bloated, I don't have the need to eat like as small amounts. I can have slightly bigger meals, so I'm not as hungry as often, because, and that's been tough because I've been eating literally like every half an hour to every hour. And now recently in the last, I'd say like, well, since I gone off progesterone, which is about a week ago, I've just kind of been able to eat more so like a regular meal, and then I have, you know, multiple snacks between, but they're not dire. It's not like if I don't eat the snack, I'm going to feel nauseous. So that's really good. I think part of why it was difficult for me to get through the weeks between as well was because as those symptoms diminished, or, you know, and in terms of as far as symptoms go, I've been pretty lucky. I will acknowledge that. Like, I haven't really had it very bad at all. And that's been part of my anxiety, of course, but on top of it, with living with endometriosis for years and years, I was always, you know, dealing with sort of like flare-ups or just chronic illness, really. And so I got used to living with nausea, living with chronic fatigue, cramps, or like aches and pains in my stomach or whatever. So those weren't really necessarily easy for me to attribute to pregnancy, because they're something that I've dealt with on a consistent basis in my life. So even though I had those symptoms, they weren't severe. So they weren't debilitating like they can be for some people. And I think that in a sense was like, well, this is sort of just me reverting back to how I used to feel. And, you know, and then as I started feeling better, I'm like, okay, now I'm feeling better from how I used to feel. So it's really hard to explain. If you have endometriosis, you probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I definitely feel right now like I'm kind of, the fog is clearing and I'm feeling a little bit better and I have more energy. Having that scan all go well has given me tons of reassurance, but going forward, I don't have another scan for 4 weeks. So it's basically an entire month that I have to wait. So we'll probably be making good use of that fetal Doppler, I'm sure, when I get anxious about how everything's doing. But I am going to very much try to embrace the pregnancy as much as I can, because as of right now, we're 12 weeks and 2 days. We had our scan, when did we have our scan? Yesterday. So 12 weeks and 1 day, because we're newly dated now. So now my changeover day is on Tuesdays. So we are 12 weeks and 1 day today, and we're nearing into the second trimester. We're not there yet. I think technically, I mean, if you want to go by days, it's like 13 weeks, 3 days. Most people say 14 weeks. Some say 13 weeks, depends if you want to round up or down. So now I'm kind of like a little bit further away from that than I was in my head a couple days ago, but I'm kind of beginning to feel like I'm entering the safety net of the second trimester. So I have to allow myself to believe a little bit more each day, and I am doing a really good job of that in my own personal opinion. You may not think so, but for me, I'm doing a pretty good job, and I'm happy with how everything's going at the moment. So I don't think I have much else to share. We are still in house hunting mode. We're very focused on that, trying to figure all of that out. We haven't found anything. The one place, I don't know if I mentioned this in previous videos, but the one place that we did like, we just decided that the price point was too high for how much work was needed. Now we found another place. The price point's lower, but it needs more work. So it's kind of just like, I don't know, do we buy a place that doesn't need work but doesn't have the space? or do we buy a place that has a lot of space but needs the work? And, you know, with us being pregnant and having timelines and things, is that a smart choice? So there's lots for us to kind of figure out what we're comfortable with. Everyone's different, and everyone's comfort levels with those kinds of things are different. So we just need to figure it out for ourselves. And I'm not really sure what we want right now. So we're kind of keeping our options open. We're looking at both sort of, you know, sort of fixer-uppers versus move-in ready and just like more starter kind of homes. And we'll see if one jumps out at us. We do have one in mind right now. We're waiting on a bit more information on it, but it needs a lot of work, so we're a bit weary of it, I guess. Anywho, if you guys have any questions for us about how things are going, do let me know. That was one of the big questions. How's the house hunting going? I think there was another question. I'm really sorry, I've forgotten what it is now, but you can ask again if it was you, and I'll try and put it in my next bump date. But we're going to be doing more content regularly now, or I will with Eric if he's available. Eric works really long hours, so that's why he's not always in a lot of the videos. Yeah, we'll kind of bring you along for the ride as much as we possibly can. If you're new to our channel, thanks for checking us out. You can learn about our infertility journey through I have a playlist that you can check out that has our whole journey up till this point. And then, you know, you can subscribe and follow along with all new content, obviously, that we upload. So thanks for tuning in anyways, and we'll be talking soon. Okay, bye guys.